Hello, screenwriters. Welcome to Writing for Screens, Screenwriting Step by Step, Volume 24, in which we continue to work on a single project. I'm showing you how I go from a rough idea to a finished pilot hour-long drama script. I am showing you every day's work so that you can get an idea of my process, of a process. It's not the process. It's not the only way to work. Just thought it might be helpful to get to the nitty-gritty, the little details, the steps. How are y'all? Welcome. I am here every Monday through Friday, as long as I don't have something else to do, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. During this half hour or so that I am here, you can ask me almost anything in the chat. If for some reason you are not able to be here live, I forgive you. You can ask me a question anyway. Just go to writingforscreens.com, click on the Contact Me button, of which there are loads, or you can just type a comment right into the comments section of this video or any of my videos, and I will know what you say. It will come right to me. So today we are getting back into the pilot script. I am going to be sort of taking the zoom out to the structure of the pilot, the big picture of the pilot, because we've done an awful lot of work, got an awful lot accomplished in the past few episodes. And that brought me to saying, where is this? Where do I stand? What do I have yet to do before I can start writing? And so, Wolf Powers is here. Hello, Wolf Powers. So the first thing I did was I need to go to the scene list. Now, I have described this a little bit before, but in case you forgot, I sometimes take the outline. The outline has all this stuff, these questions, these notes, these details, all this stuff. And so the outline gets pretty long. So what I do is I take it and I select all. I copy absolutely everything out of the outline, and I go to this thing called the scene list, which is what I did here. Is I took the outline, I copied it in here, I pasted it, and then I removed everything except the headlines. Just the name of the scene, the basic summary index card. This is the point of the scene. We are looking at the big picture, the structure. So I did that, which I also made the type a little smaller, which gives us 2 pages, the entire structure of the pilot, of the script, in a shortened view. And then you also try and make these lines as short as possible. So I trimmed some of these down. As a result, I can read through it and kind of travel the entire structure quickly. This scene is happening, and this scene is happening, the way that you would tell somebody the story if you were trying to quickly summarize it. What I see is the basic story now of Zack and Madeline and the case. It's good. All the major beats, the big sections of it are in place. We start by meeting the case, by meeting the mystery, the danger when George gets murdered, working on his podcast. And then we go to meet the other main characters. We meet Madeline. We discover she is his widow. We discover that she has not seen him in 20 years, but has been brought back into his world because of his murder. We meet Zack calling her to say, hey, George was promising a big revelation on this case. I'm an amateur sleuth. Can I get those files? She says, do not bother me right now. And that brings us into Zack explaining to the rest of the club what's going on, proposing that they take over the case. And in order to do that, they're going to need these files. And so Zack, oh, you know what we need to do here? We need to change Zack to Xena. That's a biggie. All right, let's do a find and replace. Oh, last thing I searched. Okay, Zack and replace Xena. Replace all. There we go. Magic. Okay, Xena. Which reminds me, there was a good question. Somebody asked an interesting question. I don't remember who it was. I'm sorry to not give you credit here. I think it was Brandon, maybe. I will look at some other time and amend this. Not really. I'm not going to go back and re-edit these. Someone asked, is it a problem that we have changed Zack to Xena because I had too many male characters? There wasn't enough female presence in this script. And I said, let's have Xena, a main character and a villain, a strong character, be Xena, not Zack. This commenter pointed out that poisoning is traditionally a female way of murdering. And the question was then, should we worry that that is giving away that Xena is the actual killer, because that's going to be a surprise late in the series? So that's an interesting question. And here's my thinking on that. I believe the poisoning is a female way of murder. It's kind of left over from the 19th century, early 20th century. I mean, I don't know. The FBI will be able to tell us whether statistically poisoning happens more from women. I don't believe that is currently the 21st century situation. I believe women are empowered to murder just about any way they want. And that the idea that the only sort of reason that you would think a woman would be a killer is if the victim is physically more powerful than she. But in fact, we're going to get to that in our story because guns. Guns really level out the playing field when it comes to who can kill who. And I do not think that's a good thing, by the way, for those of you who are wondering. But the point is, I'm not too worried about the women or serial poisoners, so therefore it tips us. But I like the question. You have to think out that stuff. You have to think every single angle. The Xena asks one of the group, currently called Kanji, to because Kanji is nearest. This is simply a, hey, you're the nearest one. Can you go get these files? By get, we mean break in and steal or coerce or whatever. The problem is that Kanji is a meth head, meth dealer, crazy person with a good heart. And so Norman says, wait, you cannot send this meth head, meth dealer, crazy person to coerce this innocent person to give these files. Norman then goes and intercepts Kanji, saves Madeline from that, and that's how Madeline and Norman get together. Then we spend some time with the getting to know you of it all, at which point Zack, upset about this interference, shows up to get the files. Zack discovers in the files that George never had any evidence in the first place, that it was a ploy, a way to try and draw the serial killer out. Just at that point, the serial killer contacts them to say, I did not kill George. Furthermore, leave me alone. I need you to stop hunting me or I will have to hunt you. And then there's some psychological back and forth about that, which ends with them realizing that the serial killer is after them and that they have to find the serial killer before he kills them. That's the pilot. So that's now it's cool. We have the shape of the pilot. And looking at this this list, which I will at the end of every week, I put I'll put the scene list and the overview and the outline on my website, writingforscreens.com. There's a section called Creative, a little tab. It says Creative. If you go there, you will see a smaller tab that says latest outlines of the UPKP, the Untitled Podcaster Killer Project, which is what this thing is called right now. So anyway, you can see what I've done there. Now, with this big picture in my mind, I started to ask questions. Okay, well, what's not good enough? What do we need to do still to make this ready to write, where I feel, damn, this is good. I want to write this. I want to get this scene. The first thing I thought is, what are the set pieces? Set pieces are the high points, the sequences where things really amp up in whatever way a project should be amped up. If it's an action story, it's the action sequences. If it's a musical, it's the musical numbers. In this case, this is a romantic comedy thriller, so the set pieces are essentially going to be thrills and romantic comedy bits, but especially the thrills, the suspense, the moments where things are sort of getting scary or intense twists and turns. And looking at the scene list, I think there are some potential set pieces. Essentially, the opening is going to be one, but definitely when Norman intercepts Kanji, the first time that Kanji tries to get the files and Norman stops, it's the first time that Norman and Madeline meet. It's a complicated scene because a lot's going on. That's going to be a set piece, I think. And clearly the end is going to be a set piece where they're dealing with the serial killer. That's like twist, twist, twist. And when you're doing something like this, thrills and twists are the set pieces of a thriller. So I started to sort of think, what are the set pieces? And the thing I noticed about this is I've got a lot going on here, but it feels like it's going to go too fast. It's just jamming, bam, 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 plot, plot, plot. And it's going to be nice when they stop to get to know each other, but I just feel like there's too much A story. There isn't quite enough B story. And so that's my next task, is identify the set pieces and identify the detours. And I'll tell you where I think the detours are going to be. Detours or moments where we slow down and examine something that's not just banging through the plot. And I think the detours are going to include Norman's life, Kanji's life. Those are going to be, and the serial killer's life too. That when we meet those people, we're not going to just bang into the story. We're going to take some time to set up their world. So that's the beginning of that. Is that what I'm really looking here is I have this list of scenes. It doesn't feel quite like I've got everything yet. So this is my list of things to work on. The other thing that I want to talk about is pilots. Pilot scripts are different than normal scripts. Pilot scripts do not have any resolution. There's no ending to a pilot. There's an end to the episode, but it's not what you would call an ending. It's really the beginning. The whole point about a pilot is it's really just the intro to a season, to a series. And therefore, you don't have what is important in a pilot is the reveals and the twists. This is really the thing that makes a pilot count. A pilot is a lot of setting up, getting to know people, understanding the tension, and then something will happen that will make you go, now I don't know where this is going, or now I don't know how this is going to get solved. Pilots are all setup and reveals and twists. That's what pilots are. You wanna end the pilot on a sense of, oh, something just happened or was revealed that makes me wonder what's going to happen. how is that going to be dealt with? So that's our next issue. What is that going to be? Clearly it's about bringing in the serial killer for us, but what other reveals are there? And that's just sort of like my list of things to do. One of the things that I think you're going to find as a writer, the process is you're endlessly shifting from I'm judging this, I'm thinking, what do we have to do? What are the requirements, the genre requirements, and the things I need the audience to know? When you talk to most beginner writers, all they do is talk about what they need to get the audience to know, as if the audience is watching something for information. They're not. They're watching for story. They're watching for drama. So you need to be sort of crafty about getting them to know things while you're telling them a great story. So I have a lot of things I need the audience to know. I need them to know that Zack is this, Xena is this person, and Norman is this person. And so you're constantly shifting between that and what is it like for the characters, which is story. What are they feeling? What are we getting into here? And that's what we did today. That's what we're going to be doing for a while, is shifting back and forth between, what do I need to get into this list of scenes to make sure that we've set up all the things and started the twists and deeds? But then it's like, but what's the story that's going to grip people and make them care? And that's always about what is it like for the characters in the moment. I'm going to take a second here because Wolf has done some research for us. Men are more likely to use poison to kill because overall more men kill than women. That's a good one. Thank you. From a Washington Post article. So basically just men kill more, so therefore they poison more. That's cool. And Wolf votes a woman serial killer seems like a twist. Once again, statistically, that is true. And we'll have some fun with that. By the time that we get to revealing that Xena is the killer, she will have actually killed a couple of people and essentially be a serial killer. But I want our serial killer character to be a classic serial killer. The twist on that is it's a retired serial killer. It's an old and elderly serial killer. That's where I'm finding my interest in that part of the story. So that is the work I have done up to now, which was sort of a step back after some intense invention. The past few episodes, we've been talking about how do we get this character to do this and how do we all in the moment filling in stuff. Now I want to step back and say, what's missing? That is what I was doing, but I also wanted to take a second because I forgot something in yesterday's I did an Ask Me Anything yesterday, and we talked about a thing called scene and sequel. Someone had asked if I had ever heard of this theory, which is that you have a scene, which is action, and then a sequel, which is thinking about what happened in the action and making a decision for the next action. And the question was, do I think that's workable for screenplays? I don't like the idea of starting and stopping the action. I believe action and thinking are always happening, both. But there was a second part to Jesse's question, and I wanted to get into that, which is, do you have to actively think about having the characters, and thus your audience, take a moment to process things? Or should you just keep the story chugging along without giving those things a thought? Is simply having a dramatic action that moves the story forward, no matter what it is, enough? This is an excellent question. This is a profoundly important question because you will hear a lot of people pushing this concept, get the story more moving forward, keep the story moving forward, move, move, move. They generally say that for two reasons. One, most beginner writers do not have the story moving forward at all, so there tends to be a psychology of learn how to do that. Push, go forward. Also, it just seems like one of those things you can say that's going to be true. I believe a lot of writing theory comes down to, that sounds theoretically true. The story should always be moving forward. Yes and no. The story is moving forward when people are understanding their situation and making decisions. That is a story action. That's my big problem with the scene and sequel concept, is like you are stopping the action to make a decision. Making a decision is an action. That's just, it's a scene. It's something happening. You've got to figure out how to make it interesting. You certainly don't want to have like stop and go to the conference room and debate it and put it up on the whiteboard. But you do have people constantly saying, uh-oh, the bridge is out. How are we going to get there? That is endless in all stories. That's the good stuff of stories. That's where we get to know the character, because the way that they understand what's happening and the way that they take action to make the next step in the face of an obstacle, that is the character. The character is defined by what they do, and what they do comes out of who they are. So it's this cool thing. Every time they make a decision, we understand them, or we understand that they are changing. That's one of the cool things, is because they make a new decision, we understand, oh man, they've snapped. They no longer are willing to have peace at any price. They are no longer willing to, save the country. They just want to save their family. Whatever it is, the decision making reveals the character. So that is an action. I just really wanted to talk about that because this concept that it's okay to just keep things chugging along without giving things a thought, that's where you get really bad, often what people call the big Hollywood tentpole movies. It seems like that's what they're doing. The bad ones, it is what they're doing. That they just like, let's have some things blow up, and let's have some things go really fast, and let's have some people do banter, and it's just move, but without decisions, without choices, without character. That's bad. That's not what you want to do. You do not want to have just the story chugging along. What you want to do is make sure that every scene is both an action and a decision, a choice, a desire over an obstacle. So I just thought that was important to talk about. And the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is this concept that, which I'm dealing with here, this endlessly shifting mode between, is the outline ready? Am I ready to write it? When is it good enough? And the answer is, it will never be done, but there will be a sense sometimes of it is as done as it needs to be right now. And getting it done, getting it to move to the next step is very important. I'm actually going to try and push this project faster than I normally would. I normally take a lot of time. I go over and over the outline. I'm going to kind of rush that because you guys have to watch these videos, and I don't want you to be watching tiny little things. The real message I have on that is, don't be lazy and don't be crazy. It's a fine line between overthinking, not feeling like it's good enough, not feeling like it's ready enough, and therefore not moving on, not making it something that someone can read, or being lazy and just saying, oh, that seems cool, and moving on. That's not good either. So almost all of writing is a kind of back and forth between two modes. And neither one is all right, and neither one works by itself. Got a little question here. Wondering about the type of disorder a serial killer must have in order to kill and still be active in a social environment without revealing who, what she is. It seems like a whole task. It's work. Nobody said it was easy being a serial killer. I think it's important to remember we are making a fictional story about a specific set of people. We are not going to solve one of the things that's important for you to do is you may be making a character and saying, this character is what the cops are like. This character is what killers or nurses or teachers are like. That will never be actually true because people are very various. The world is full of different types of people. But I do think that in our case, we're going to explore the life of a serial killer from a couple of different angles. One, we have a whole bunch of people who are fascinated by serial killers. That's our main characters. And so in doing that, we're going to be sort of thinking about what is it about serial killers that makes us ask these questions or think these things or project onto them our fears and feelings. But we're also going to meet a serial killer who is not going to be your typical serial killer. Not going to be classic because, for one thing, they are old. One of the things that's happened lately is because of DNA, a lot of cold cases, often 40, 50 years old, are being reopened because we can newly figure out stuff from evidence that previously was useless, bloodstains and things. We get new information. Therefore, a bunch of really old serial killers have been caught, or I think the Grim Sleeper and Golden State Killer, where you get this weird thing where instead of the looming, frightening, virile character of the killer, it's this creepy old guy. And I want to deal with that. So our killer will not be the killer, the stereotypical killer, but the question of what kind of disorder they have, I think it's important to understand the clinical side of your characters, but I think it's also really important to keep it poetic, to keep it imaginary and narrative. We have not yet entirely figured out who this killer is. Elmore. I can't remember his last name. Oh, Elmore Deakins. That's our killer's name. Elmore Deakins for the moment. What is his story? That's going to be a great question. That's going to be what we are going to be getting into when we get more into those scenes. Jeff Messerman says, so DNA has torpedoed the serial killer industry. It has put a serious dent in people wanting to be serial killers because they are more likely to get caught. I really do hope that a bunch of people were looking at their list of possible careers and taking serial killer off the list because you no longer get away with it like you used to. Let's hope that is the case. That's actually a great line. I want to put that into our outline. I think just the notion. I'm not sure where this is going to go, but notion that DNA has, quote, torpedoed the serial killer industry. Jeff, you have to remember you did this publicly, so Jeff M in comments on live. Serial killers. To get away with. It's just a good joke. When this is important, when you get a good line, when you get a good bit, write it down, put it in there. Joke. One of the best things you can do as a writer is get used to the idea of just constantly snagging things that you think might be useful and putting them into written form. Thank you for that bit, Jeff. So that's it. Yeah, let's. I'm just going to open this up to any more questions while we are here, while we are paused. I see that 10 of you are watching. Does anyone have anything they want to ask? Otherwise, we are going to take the rest of the day off. So I'm going to give you guys a second to think, type, and hit send, and to talk about the fact that the next step is really going to be refining this outline. Oh, did you guys not see that? I typed this in. I typed in this idea, what we just said. It was just funny. Interesting also is the DNA failure in the house episode. House episode meaning an episode of the... Oh, the DNA failure. Oh, the episode, the in the house, in the part of our story where they realized that the DNA didn't exist. Yes, that's a good point. Let's just add a note on that. Also, note, DNA isn't helping them. George was lying about it, which comes to the myth of DNA as a topic. Okay, cool. So Jeff says, oh man, I made it. Dealing with the serial killer scenario as well. Okay, well, just remember, be careful. Anything you say here, open season. Cool, thanks. I'm glad. Great. You know, guys, we're gonna keep this video at a reasonable length of time because people are watching this thing and saying, you know, I don't want to watch a 50-minute video. So we're gonna say so long. See you next week, or see you tomorrow. Okay, that's it. Bye.